everyone, Luke here. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of your child's health. So, as I've talked about previously on this channel, and it's also talked about on Dr. Wilson's website, is the concept of vectors, right? So, an important vector with your health would be your sodium to potassium ratio, right? So, one way we heal ourselves is we balance the sodium to potassium ratio, okay? Now this is the most important ratio on your hair test, and by moving this ratio in certain directions, we can move the health in a certain direction, right? By improving this ratio, we can move you in a healthier direction. And so in regards to your health, this is what we call a vector, right? Other vectors in your health would be like your oxidation rate, your amount of heavy metals in your body, even things like how much sleep you're getting, and your thyroid health, your adrenal health. All these are what we call vectors, which basically just means they're components of your overall health, okay? And with your health, one of the most important things is your sodium to potassium ratio, okay? But many people that have children overlook their children's health as a vector of their health. Now, let me explain this, okay? So let's go into this. So many people on programs have children, and they themselves are on a program, but their children aren't on a program. Now there's some problems with this, okay? First of all, you have to realize that you and your children's health are very correlated, okay? So for example, if I test the hair of a mother and then I test the hair of a child, they have very, very similar hair tests, okay? So let's just talk about that. So similar hair tests. So this is not even intuitive or something I'm kind of guessing about. I'm telling you from a scientific standpoint, from a clinical standpoint, when I view the HTMAs, the hair mineral analysis of mothers and their children, they almost always have similar hair tests, okay? So similar oxidation rates, similar sodium to potassium ratios, they have similar heavy metal counts, similar metabolic patterns, similar overall patterns like 4 lows and things like that, similar burnout patterns. And so they always have similar hair tests. Or not always, but most of the time, right? And so I have many people that are on a program, but they don't put their children on a program, okay? And you have to realize that you're sharing the same space with your child, okay? Energetically, you're eating the same food, and things like that. Now, usually if a parent is on a program, they're going to be feeding they kind of recognize that with their child, they're going to be feeding the child healthier and stuff like that. Also, if they have just awareness to do a program, they're going to usually be the type of parent that's going to, put their kid to bed at a reasonable time. They're going to be, again, feeding their child correctly. They're going to know how to deal with the child better, right? How to raise the child properly, okay? Now, let me tell you why you should put your child on a program, though. If you're watching this and you have children, you're on a program, but your children aren't, let me try to convince you why you should put your children on a program, okay? First of all, costs, okay? Children's programs are cheaper, okay? So that's something you need to realize. They're cheaper. Not only are they cheaper, but they're also simpler, okay? So children's programs are cheaper and simpler, okay? Why are they cheaper and simpler? Well, children need less supplements, and they need them less regularly, okay? So with adults, I recommend they take supplements like 3 times a day. With a child, it's only about twice a day, okay? Once they get to like 16, it is better if you up them to like 3 times a day. But in children, especially if you're children under the age of 2, all they need is twice a day, okay? Now, you can give the child the supplements 3 times a day, but in general, it's not needed, okay? And not only is it more simple in that way, but also it's cheaper because it's less supplements, right? So like a child, especially if they're into the age of 5, only need like maximum 3 supplements, okay, in general, okay? So it's going to be Paramin, which is the calcium magnesium supplement. It's going to be either zinc or limcomin, depending on their sodium to potassium ratio, which I mentioned earlier. And then they might get a metabolic pack. So if they're in fast oxidation and not in 4 lows, they might get a multivitamin to increase or decrease their oxidation rate. Again, if they're not in 4 lows. If they're in 4 lows, which many children are, they only get 2 supplements, and if they're under the age of 5 in general. So generally a child in 4 lows, which is just a certain metabolic pattern. You can search this YouTube channel to learn more about a 4 lows pattern. It's only going to be calcium, magnesium, and then either zinc or a multivitamin called limcomin. Okay, so it's only 2 supplements, and so it's pretty cheap, right? And these are pretty cheap supplements already. You know, the zinc, calcium, magnesium. These are not expensive, fancy supplements, and you're only giving them the supplements, you know, twice a day, and it's not even usually a full one, right? So like when you give a child under the age of 5 a zinc, usually it's going to be like a quarter of a zinc or a half a zinc. So it's not even a full. It's a cheap zinc supplement that you're only giving them part of. Okay, so it's a lot cheaper. Also, certain practitioners, such as myself, we actually charge less to test the hair of children. I charge less for children just because their programs are easier to quantify and it's easier to set up programs for them, right? It's not as much like to deal with as an adult, right? The children, they don't, you know, have as many traumas to go through that I have to talk them through and things like that. Just the programs in general are simpler, including the supplement programs, okay? So, you know, the program is cheaper and simpler for a child. So, you know, I would encourage you to take that into account when you're wondering if I should put your child on a program, okay? Also, going back to the importance of your child's health, you know, you share space. And so this is really the concept that I really wanted to hone in on this video, was the concept that if you heal your child, you heal yourself, okay? Healing your child is healing yourself. And many people don't understand this. So it is healing yourself. Now this goes back to a similar concept that you might be familiar with, which is that if you, you know, we all share space with each other, right? So as we heal ourselves, we heal the world, right? And this also goes inverse, right? So the inverse is also true. As you heal yourself, you heal your child, okay? So by sharing energetic space with your child, you know, they pick up on your traumas. They pick up on if you're tired and underfed and poorly nourished and you have traumas, that energy gets inflicted upon the child, okay? So it's important to realize that it does go inverse, okay? So healing yourself is also healing your child. But your child's program is simpler. It's cheaper. It's cheaper to go put them on a program. But also your child will heal faster than you. So children heal faster. This is something very important that you need to understand. That this program works with the energy of the body. And children are already healthier. They already have less trauma. And their bodies respond quicker to the program. Okay, I know this because I've been a practitioner. I've been healing people for like 6 or 7 years now, okay? I've put many, many children on programs and adults, and I know for a fact that children heal faster with much simpler programs. In fact, I've talked about this in previous videos, but the diet's not as important with children. If you just give children the supplements and you're consistent about giving them their supplements, the diet doesn't even have to be perfect, and they'll still make excellent, excellent progress, okay? Including dumping tons of metals. You know, they don't need crazy detox procedures. All I really recommend with children under the age of 10 is that you give them supplements twice a day. They're simple, cheap supplements. You maybe rub their feet. A chiropractor can manipulate them, you know, a good, gentle chiropractor. And you can pop their toes and things like that. You know, put reflexology on the child is helpful. For the most part, though, it's just making sure they're well fed, getting enough sleep, and that they're taking their supplements consistently twice a day. Okay, and you're keeping up to date on their program by retesting their hair. But children heal faster. And so if by healing your child, you're healing yourself because you're sharing the space with your child, you know, it's your DNA. By healing their DNA, you're healing your own DNA. You share the same DNA, you share the same living space. They chose you as their parent, and your children heal faster. You can then deduce that it'd be a good thing for your health and your family's health. Okay, so if you're a husband, putting your child on a program will help your wife's health as well, okay? So the children heal faster. And energetically, they'll help uplift your family, okay? So oftentimes, this is true with retracing, for example. So if your child's health is like a vector in your family's health, the child will tend to, you know, they'll shift first, okay? So if your whole family's in 4 lows, and you're all going to have to retrace an infection together, so you may or may not know, but families will retrace together because they all share the same energy, okay, and the same living space, like I mentioned. It sounds strange, but if but one person in the family retraces something like a sinus infection or an ear infection, the whole family will kind of get sick together, and they'll all move through it together, okay? I've experienced this myself and with many, many client families. Okay, and it is the truth. Okay, but if your children will heal faster, they'll start to retrace faster. Okay, and oftentimes that's a sign that your family is actually moving. It's starting to move in the right direction. Okay, so if the child starts to go through an ear infection, and you and your family have been in 4 lows, for example, and the child is starting to move out of 4 lows, that's the first indication that your whole family will start to move out of 4 lows, okay? Or if the child starts to dump copper or retraces anything like that, or starts to dump metals, that's a good sign that the family is starting to heal and that the child is moving first, and then the family will start to follow the health of the child in a positive direction, okay? It's just that because the child is healthier and because the child is moving faster towards health, it's going to kind of drag the rest of the family quicker along with it, okay? So that's a very, very important concept for all of you to realize, especially those of you that have children and you yourself are on a program, but your children are not, okay? So if you want to heal yourself, heal your children, okay? But at the same time, like I said, it's also the opposite, right? So if you heal yourself, it helps your children, okay? But the basis of this video that I really want to explain to you guys is the fact that I really encourage you to put your children in a program. And if you're struggling, and you're wondering if you should put it on your children on a program, think of it this way too. If you want to get healthier and you have little children around you, if you have children, especially like children that are still in the house, like they're under 18, it's very important that you realize that if you want to heal and you're struggling with your health, healing your children can really help you, okay? Because that child inherited a lot of the same toxicities. That child energetically has many of the same traumas as you, some of the same genetic defects. Okay, it's your child. You share the same genetics, and you can heal a lot of aspects of your genetics. I've talked about this in previous videos as well. But your genetics get turned off and on by the health of the body. Genetics, genetic disease isn't as the genetics aren't as important as people think they are for health. Nutrition is actually, in my opinion, much more important than your genetics, because the nutrition can turn off and on genetics. Now, certain people have certain genetic predispositions to certain diseases, that is true, but you can help fight a lot of that just by healing your body, okay? People don't realize that genes get turned off and on all the time, and your genes will replicate themselves better, and they will activate more, the good genes, if you have adequate nutrition and you're getting enough sleep and things like that, okay? So take this into account, okay? Kind of process this and just realize that it is very important that you heal your children, and they'll help your health. And they'll help, if you're healing your children, I would say that the children are even more bonded to the mother, okay? And so if your wife is struggling with her health, if you put your children on a program and are strict with it, they're going to help heal your wife faster too. And the programs are simpler and cheaper, and it's really a good way to start moving your family forward together at an even faster rate, okay? So don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this content. And I will talk to you guys later.